Sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. So today we'll be talking something very important, and it's about Israel and South Africa and ICJ, right? I am really happy about everything going on right now, how South African has decided to step into what is going on and decided to take Israel to court and over what they are doing in Palestine and all over the world. And seeing everything going around, and we as humans were able to witness everything going on social media's lives and all that. You all know that they've been lying to us, but African Americans have been the ones saying the truth. A lot of people did not believe them. And now we all are saying it with our own eyes and all that. And what they have been saying is that they have the rights to defend themselves. Defend themselves from who? And now as it stands, as it stands, even Germany also decided to come in to defend Israel. And Namibian president came all out and said, we all aren't taking you all bullshit and all that. We are standing against everything that has been going on. And you know what? I am so proud of South Africa. A lot of people are saying that if South Africa ever lose this in court with Israel, it means that the Western world is all corrupt. Is this the first time? Is this something new? I mean, the Western world being corrupt is not something new. This is something we have known for like forever. You know what? Let's get into.
So when people ask how certain atrocities have taken place, certain major events against basic human rights, I hope that people cite this moment in time, right? For how this has happened throughout history, because I think that the moment that we're living in is a perfect example of how the suffering and the horrific things that have happened to people are not just ever the decisions of one nation or one world leader. It is oftentimes a concerted effort from a lot of powerful people and powerful institutions, including the media. So a lot of you already know that many of the protests on behalf of Palestine around the world have not primarily been covered by Western media and by media in other countries. But one of the things that I would have hoped would have been covered is happening right now. So South African lawyers have brought charges of genocide against Israel to the International Court of Justice. Now let me ask you, that trial, has it been streaming on MSNBC? Has it been streaming on CNN? Has it really been streaming anywhere? The answer is no. Meanwhile, when you had Amber Heard and Johnny Depp's trial, I remember it streaming everywhere, literally everywhere. You couldn't go to the laundromat, the gym, so on and so forth, without having access, even if you didn't want it, to that trial. But a trial of historic measure, right? A nation bringing another nation to the International Court of Justice about an active, ongoing genocide is not covered by anybody. Not only is it not covered or streaming, if you go on the Twitter accounts, the social media accounts for all these news outlets, where is it? Where is it? Right? We just saw the Jonathan Majors trial everywhere. Like I said again, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, all these different trials, these celebrity trials, everywhere. This is not the media being complicit. This is the media and the powerful people who own and dictate being an active participant. It's right there. This is how this happens. This is how this has happened always. It's not one person, not one nation. It is a group effort. It's a group. Genocide is a group fucking project.
I think we might need to go over this again. Seems to be a lack of critical thinking going around in these United States of America. And I don't too much like that, though. And one could even argue that we're constantly in a state of genocide, to be honest with you, because it don't need to go in order, my friend. But obviously, stage 1 is classification, the difference between peoples who are not respected. So in this situation, we can see that Israel talks about Palestinians like they're animals. Remind me, quickly.
I have ordered a complete siege on Gaza. No electricity, no food, no fuel, no water. Everything is closed. We are fighting human animals, and we will act accordingly.
And now keep in mind, these are just examples, but in this situation with Palestine and Israel, obviously the flags are symbolism. You know, we can use emojis to represent people. So the flag and watermelon. So yeah. Now, when it comes to discrimination, this can be represented in how some Ethiopian Jewish women were given the Depo-Provera shot without their consent, and they lied about it because they didn't want Ethiopian Jewish blood in their, okay, you get what I'm saying? Hopefully, I hope you do. And while we're at it, this is a great example to recap Jewish history when it comes to the Holocaust, because that is the situation these examples are in, if you understand what I'm saying. Kind of real funny that they're doing the same thing to, okay, just saying. The difference here in stage 4 is the action. Treated. How are these people being treated? We know now Palestinians are being starved on purpose. There's no water, no electricity, no housing, no type of citizen infrastructure, no health care, none of that. It's how they're being treated and on purpose. Stage 5, organization. Genocides are always planned. Regimes of hatred often train those who go out to carry out the destruction of a people. The Sudanese government, for instance, supports and arms the Janjaweed, Arab militia, in Darfur to carry out the violence and killings. Polarization. Y'all, we're getting into the deep parts because propaganda begins to be spread by hate groups. For instance, the Nazis used the newspaper to spread and incite messages of hate about Jewish people. For example, how the Western media didn't really show South Africa's opening statements during the ICJ hearing, now did they? But they did manage to show Israel's rebuttal. Stage 7 is very interesting because acts of genocide are disguised as self-defense. And how many times have we heard Israel say, I'm just protecting myself. I'm just protecting myself. This is for our best interest. This is where protection, self-defense. Persecution. Victims are identified because of their ethnicity or religion. People are sometimes segregated into ghettos, starved, and then the massacre begins. Now, we need to get kind of relative for stage 9. When we're talking about the population of Palestinians versus the population of Israeli people who have perished during this unfortunate scenario, what do you think this is? Could you say thousands of lives have been destroyed or changed beyond recognition through genocide when it comes to Palestinians? I think that fits here. When we say deliberate and systematic campaign of violence, things have been set in place. Like I said, there's no food. There's been bombardments. There's been, let's go to this exit, and then they bomb that exit. Let's go to this border, then they bomb that. So this all matches. I don't know what Israel's rebuttal really was saying besides we're just protecting ourselves. Oh, woe is us. Because it's looking like this is stages of genocide, like South Africa said. Like the world has been saying. This has got to be my favorite slide because how many times has Israel denied, not even just since October 7th, but let's just look at the ICJ hearing because that's all their rebuttal was. Straight denial. No claims here, it shouldn't be granted. No claims there, it shouldn't be granted. And they're saying they're not even going to listen to the judges after that. So now, what do we do about that, huh, folks?
Hey, guys, so I just need a minute to vent because I'm feeling that there's something else going on. Call me a conspiracy theorist, call me whatever, but how could South Africa deliver such an incredible presentation, argument, etc. against Israel, and yet we have people like Canada, Germany, UK, US, all claiming that they're going to side with Israel, who gave one of the worst presentations that they could have. I mean, it was horrible. They were boring, they were ineffective, they were unclear, they were putting judges to sleep. So I started to think, this isn't just about Israel, and Gaza. It has to be bigger than that. And I started to think about something that we are not talking about that much, and that is the issue of BRICS. So if you're unfamiliar with BRICS, it is a group of emerging markets or, developing countries who are coming together to sort of challenge the economic world order. BRICS itself stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and guess who? South Africa. In addition to the founding 5 countries, additional countries have also joined, which include Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. And so some would say the real purpose of BRICS is actually to challenge the dominance of the US dollars. For the past 80 years, the US dollar has been the main currency that countries have used to trade, whether it's oil, gold, gas, etc. And these countries are saying it's time for a change. So earlier in the year, during a BRICS summit, the president of Brazil was asking, why is the whole international trade based on the US dollar? And maybe it's time for BRICS to develop its own currency. Not only that, but we are seeing a shift in sort of the geopolitical power dynamics where the West is at growing tensions between Russia and China. So again, why is everything based on the US dollar? So at this point, you might be thinking, why would the United States feel threatened by these smaller countries? And, the US has always been dominant. Well, in history, there was another example of another currency that was about to be introduced that would have flipped the world economic order upside down, and that was called the gold dinar. So if you are unfamiliar with this man, his name was Muammar Gaddafi. He was the de facto leader of Libya from 1969 to 2011. So he ruled Libya for over 40 years, and he was an extremely controversial character. And character he was. He was sometimes labeled as a terrorist, as a dictator, and then you had other people who praised him and called him a hero because he was constantly trying to figure out how to unify the continent of Africa. So while textbooks may say that he was assassinated because there was, a revolt in his country, others claim that he was assassinated by the West for introducing a new currency. He was the president of the African Union and was introducing a currency that was based on gold that would become Africa's gold currency called the dinar. And why this was so threatening to the United States and other, Western countries is because Africa is so rich in gold and other resources that in order for other countries to trade with Africa, different African countries, they would have to use the dinar currency. Now, in order for them to get the dinar currency, they would have to buy the dinar currency from Africa. So this would put Africa in a completely different position than it has been historically, and would actually put it at the top of the world economic order because Africa is so rich in its resources. Okay, to sum up, so what does, Gaddafi and this gold dinar have to do with BRICS? Well, if the United States is going to go so far as to assassinate a world leader because they were introducing a currency that could help lift the African continent out of poverty, then what do you think that they could possibly do for a group of 9 countries hoping to introduce a new currency that would devalue the US dollar? I personally don't put anything past the United States when it comes to retaining its power and its wealth in the world. So this is just something that I thought about the last few days. I would love for those who have more experience in economics. I'm a filmmaker, I'm not an economic person, but these are just theories that I have, and I would love for our group to start talking more about it, because I do feel that it is just so strange to me that the day after South Africa delivered this incredible presentation, that all of a sudden we're seeing people just dismiss everything that was said. I mean, I already know the United States would, but now all these other countries, Canada, I mean, come on. So that's my thoughts for today. Would love to know your thoughts, and free Palestine. Hey guys, so I just need a minute to vent because I'm feeling...
Based on this commentator sketch, this is the main reason why. The people from South Africa know how it was when it came to genocides, ethnic cleansing. They knew how it happened when they had economic welfare, destruction, mass destruction, apartheid, all of those things that was embedded to their ancestors for many years. These are the children that came not literally from Nelson Mandela, but Winnie Mandela. They're freedom fighters. They're tribal warriors. These are the real Nubian children, okay? They're more than America, Canada, and all the rest of them because they were making profit for many years against these people in Palestine. And even in South Africa, sometimes when you go through the hardship and you turn around and see your brother and sister going through it, you say to yourself, this is not going to happen. It's from the generation of our people, from Generation X, and even the generation of Y and Millennium. They're all the spirit of the ancestors from Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela, and even from the tribe. They are not going to take that at all. America sit there and look at it because guess what? They were following the nation of Great Britain, better known as Mother Nation, because they still want to kiss the ring. But South Africa ain't kissing the ring because, you see, let me tell you something. For years, they've been fighting against from the Western, especially from the Dutch, and even from many people that turn around and colonize and destroy them country. And especially put apartheid and did a lot of stuff. If you research about Samuel Biko, okay, and many other freedom fighters that had died and sacrificed for their people, they know how it is, especially with Palestine, when they literally seen it in their faces in broad daylight on television and social media. So that is the reason why they decide to stand up, and I don't blame them because I would have done the same thing too, because it is ridiculous how you take away somebody's land because you felt like you're entitled to do that and come up with some false propaganda and some false narrative when you can just live there and be one. Y'all come from the same nation of Abraham, the same nation of Moses, and the same nation of many other followers that God turned around and gave the promise to. God did not give the promised land to them. He gave the promised land to the Palestinians. He gave the promised land to Abraham's son, which was Ishmael, just like he gave the promised land to Isaac. And for them to turn around and do something like that, that's why South Africa is not going to stand down. They're not going to back down. I don't blame them, because America go turn around and help the the Jewish people then when they were in tarnish of the Holocaust. So why is it that the South Africans can't help them? And when they knew that they went through the turmoil with Adolf Hitler, why the hell would they turn around and do the same thing to their own people and to their own color, to people who, whether they believe they're related to them or not? Come on. It's like, for example, when Queen Elizabeth I go turn around and assassinate her cousin because she wanted to be the person in tail. What kind of barbaric foolishness is that? So I don't blame South Africa to join with them, but you got to understand, they did the same thing to Russia, because Russia had the first empire. They were the first ones that had the crown, and then England turned around and take it away. Know your history. And even people from Ireland fighting because they were once in starvation, destitution, segregation, when they were stripped away from their own people to turn around to be working as slaves. So when they look at the stories of their ancestors and the brutality that they went through, they are not going to allow one country to. How is it going to feel where you standing there and watching another fellow man being defeated? When you have you may not have the resources or whatever, but you can't stand down. This is God's calling to tell people to come and unite. Put your prejudice, put your segregation, put all your pride, and even put all your negative fashion. These are people, because if they do that to the Palestinians, imagine what they'll do to the people in Africa. They're already doing it in Congo. They already see what they're doing in Haiti. That's why I said many other Caribbeans need to come unite and stop all this foolishness and thinking that you're overpowering anybody. You see how Barbados went and get their independence and their full sovereign away from England. They need to do the same thing too. Okay? Even with the monarchy, why must you have a monarchy? And why you must have a monarchy when they're not doing nothing for you but decides taking and stealing from you? That doesn't make any sense. So I don't blame South Africa. I support South Africa. And I support Palestine and Congo and Haiti. And I support many people that go through suffering. Even Venezuela, they robbed Venezuela economics while the people them come over here because they're looking for financial freedom. America turn around and demolish the people them, and even the people them from the West. Come on.
South Africa has always had this undying, unwavering support for Palestine. And at the end of the day, it's because they know what it's like to live under apartheid. And countries and minorities are always more understanding and more supportive of others who are going through similar situations. May Allah reward the people of South Africa. I watched a clip of a woman who was like in the international justice court, basically talking about how Israel has been bombarding Palestine. They've been attacked by land, air, and sea, and they've been using weapons on a large scale that we've never seen before. You know, over 23,000 Palestinians have been killed. There's no way in denying this is a genocide and that Israel should be held accountable for their war crimes. This beautiful artistic depiction of South Africa, like lending, you know, a Palestinian man a hand or Palestine a hand. And it's just truly beautiful, and it just warms my heart to see these communities support each other. And I hope that Israel is held accountable for their crimes. It's been over 90 days. This is where I started. And we're all just watching all these horrors unfold. And South Africa's actually doing something about it. Meanwhile, you have Germany that's defending or going to bat for Israel, and who are we to be surprised? A lot of these genocidal, settler colonial countries just will support Israel and do it with like no care in the world and no empathy for the side of Palestine, who has clearly gone through way harder things. And subhanAllah, genociders will support genociders.
That was probably the roughest 3.5 hours of my life. I just got finished watching the second ICJ court hearing for Israel's defense. We went into this assuming that they were going to blame everything on Hamas on October 7th. And what did they do? They went into this and they blamed everything on Hamas on October 7th. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone who was watching could see the very stark difference between South Africa and Israel. South Africa broke every single thing down, left no stone unturned. They came for everybody. They even came for the ICJ themselves. Had factual evidence, had visual proof of everything. In Israel, they just had random quotes by random people and random photos of buildings and rooms and little voice memos of people that were apparently Hamas members. Voice memos of things that we can't even like prove. Like, we don't even know if that's true. And then they want to turn around and put it all on their soldiers. Be like, yeah, you know, they be doing this, but we didn't say that they should do that. We didn't encourage it. So now you're turning against your own people. Okay, yeah. Yeah, this isn't going to go well for you. And if the ICJ judges, if they do not side with South Africa, this will be their demise. You cannot watch that and not side with South Africa. They broke everything down with factual evidence. Israel just made the exact same statement. They had the exact same talking points for 3.5 hours. If they side with Israel, this will be their demise. This will be the end of the ICJ. This will be the end of the UN and all of the other associations associated with the UN. So I'm just excited to see what this decision is going to be, what's going to come of this. But honestly, Israel's defense was a shit show. Israel's defense was exactly what you would expect and worse. So yeah.
I'm not shocked that Germany is trying to interfere with the ICJ case. We've seen some countries, mainly in the West, speak out against the case, but Germany's the first one to actually try to interfere. But baby, Namibia said, y'all ain't pulling this. Do y'all forget the genocide you carried out in our country? You even got the First Lady of Namibia calling Germany out. The absurdity of Germany on 12th January 2024 rejecting genocide charges against Israel and warning about the political instrumentalization of the charge is not lost on us. Ciao. I have a feeling so many countries are going to come forward and be like, this you, when it comes to any country trying to still try to back up Israel. This we're so far in the point where other countries are like, enough's enough. And after what the U.S. and other Western countries kicked off in Yemen, and we're finding out what countries, came on versus what others rejected, this is not going to end well for anybody still trying to back Israel.
If South Africa loses their case against Israel at the ICJ,
which seems to be the likely outcome, but let's hear what she has to say.
Just know that the ICJ, the UN, and the whole Western world is corrupt.
Oh wow, this definitely was gonna let us know that the UN and the ICJ are corrupt. Oh my god, this is the defining factor, guys.
Because imagine this. Imagine the South Africans that survived the apartheid in South Africa, became lawyers, and now are defending Palestinians against the apartheid and the genocide that they are experiencing. It's literally like the most poetic thing.
Yeah, that's fact right there. I'm not gonna lie. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Those who survived apartheid are now trying to help the people that are suffering under apartheid. And then imagine they lose this case. This case is literally the benchmark for Western human rights. For Western humanity. Although I don't believe that Western governments have humanity or believe in universal human rights, however, this case is literally the benchmark.
Now is not the time to be a comedian. Now is not the time to be a comedian, please. Let's get serious here. So you're trying to say that if South Africa loses this case, then any bit of humanity the West had is gone. Why do you even have hope in them in the first place? Make it make sense, please. These are the same people that will wipe out your entire lineage for the sake of making an extra 100,000 in the bank account. And you have faith in them. Wow. Okay. Since when have the oppressors stopped oppressing because someone begged them to stop? Oh, please, stop profiting off of my suffering. Please, pray us. Please forfeit the billions of dollars you're making from my suffering in the hopes that you'll be a good person. And then they're going to be like, I think they're going to be like, oh, snap. All right, fine. I'm going to forfeit the $4.5 billion contract I got because I've decided to become a good human being today. That's definitely the world we live in. Yeah, but real talk, you guys be gassing these Western institutions too damn much. Like, you guys have too much faith in them. To the point where this is the defining factor. A corrupt ruling is the defining factor for where the Western corruption begins. Come on, man. Let's be real. Let's get serious. But honestly, I'm curious to see the outcome. Big up South Africa. We love you guys very much. And this emoji, before TikTok, takes this video down or suppresses it or something.
So this is all I got from this video, and the stitches are really amazing and kind of eye-opening. You all already know what is going on all over, and the genocide that has been happening in some countries and all that, which is being powered by the Westerners. And now you all know that South Africa took Israel to ICJ, and the whole thing is still ongoing. And Israel is saying that they have all the rights to protect themselves. This is what they have been saying from the onset. They keep saying that they have the right to protect themselves. And who are they protecting themselves from? All these lies they have been telling and still telling. And I am really rooting for South Africa, and I hope that something good come out of it. And as it stands right now, what's this called? Germany is also trying to back up Israel. And Namibia is all out saying that you all ain't going to mess around with us anymore because you all have been doing this right from the onset to this very moment. I am really happy that Israel lost their propaganda, their PR, social media, and all that, because it's just really crazy how, I think African Americans, they've been telling us most of all this, but people never believe them, you know? And I am really happy that we are seeing most of these with our eyes, because everybody saw everything going on all over social media, streaming and all that. So now we all already understood that who the bad people are and who the good people are. And people also are beginning to wake up, and a lot of people are rendering their voices over what is going on in Congo and the rest of the world and all that. And we are still going to keep showing that watermelon sign, because that watermelon sign is more like what they use in telling people that, I mean, this is for the people that is going through genocide and all that. And it is even the nerves of Israel. You can imagine with everything going on and all that. I remember them saying that they are going to send some people to Congo. You can imagine people of Palestine that is going through genocide and Congo is going through genocide. They are saying that they are going to send them to Congo. You can imagine, I mean, a blind person leading a blind person, you know, sending Palestinians to Congo. I mean, both of them are going through bad times. And now this also boils down to how the Westerners have been, like, you know, doing so many horrible things and getting away with it. I am happy. I am really happy that this is happening in my own time. A lot of people are waking up to understand who the real people are and who the bad people are. And then I remember I think you all heard that 2024 is the year of accountability, and we are trying as much as we can to hold so many people accountable. I mean, no matter how the outcome, South Africa stood the bullies. Like, you know, I love the fact that they stood the bullies and they called them out, and they are. I really hope that something good comes out of this ICJ. I am really counting on them. And they did a great job with the defending and all that. And then I remember, like, one of these sisters spoke about Ethiopian Jewish and all that. Number one is that I would never speak up for Ethiopian Jewish, because I mean, like, each time we want to talk about how they were being or how they are being maltreated in Israel and all that, they turn against us and they start saying, even like, you know, when people talk about it, they start calling out African American people, saying that they are always the one talking about ill about Israel against them. So the people that is going through the hard time, Ethiopian Jewish, are the ones going through whatever they are going in the hand of Israel. But they have refused to come out to speak up. So I will never be the one coming out to speak on their behalf, because they've been lying to the media also. So not until they wake up on their own to decide to speak up and apologize, and then people can like probably weigh into what they have gone through. But everything that they have gone through is all in the history, but they refuse to acknowledge it, and I will not be the one to acknowledge what they went through. This is all I got to say. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.